Hey guys, HTTV Productions here, and I know I haven't made a video in a while, and mainly out of laziness, but today we're doing one, and I recently got my wisdom teeth out, so can't talk very well. But I know a lot of people do these Kickstarter things, Kickstarter crap, like iDubbbz makes, but today I'm going to be doing one because I saw this one, and I know quite a bit about computers, as you probably know from my previous videos. And I was planning to make this video yesterday, but my mouth just wasn't up to it. Got it about 3 days ago, and it seems that today the funding was canceled, so no better time, right? I already know. We're just gonna go over this and why this is an awful idea. So we have the portable console for PC gamers, the PGS, and it essentially looks like a Nintendo DS. That's about as close as you get with Windows on it. Looks like sort of a phone on top of a gamepad on the bottom is the best way. And there's no videos of this working. This is a tablet with a controller attached to it. This isn't it. It's pretty obvious. And yeah, so let's go over all the reasons why this couldn't have been successful. This would have had to sell for $500 and still be awful. And how much were they saying they were selling it for? So the PGS Lite looks like 4 backers. This is the main one, alright, 400. And we also have early bird specials. But let's see here. So we have the hardcore discount. So the hardcore version, let's go see if we can find where that is. Should be down here where they, yeah. So hardcore has 8 gigs of RAM, a 128 gigabyte SSD, and I'm not sure if they give you 1440p on it. If they do, yeah, sure, okay. So they want to charge us how much? I think it was, what, 280. And then I guess 320 for the regular version. This is obviously a ripoff, because let's go over the specs that are in this thing. So we're getting a Windows 10 64-bit and Android version 6 dual booting DS tablet. And right off the bat, that's something that it seems like a lot of Chinese people, or like, I don't mean like that, like Chinese tablet manufacturers have been doing. If we go to Geek Buying, they sell a lot of these things. We have these tablets, and all the time, these cheap, really cheap tablets. Yeah, Windows and Android on them, dual booting tablets with the cheap Intel processors. So you might be like, well, I mean, if they can do it, why can't these guys do it? Well, let's go over all these problems, alright? So actually, right down here, let me just grab this. We have my Nintendo DS. It's a bit dusty, but you can see right in here, Nintendo DS, right? Yeah, it looks a lot like the Nintendo DS, except the screen's a bit wider up here. It's got a camera kind of like the DSi does. It's got the 2 little sticks right down there, and it's very reminiscent of that, except it's sliding. It's not a flip screen. So let me tell you a little bit about the DS and why these two things would have been very different. The DS was manufactured to be able to be dropped 10 times from, I think it was about 5 or 6 feet onto concrete without any kind of damage that would impact your performance with this. That's why these things don't die often. And even I had one that actually the screen ended up dying after using it for so long, and probably just, opening like that. And they, I got a brand new one right back from them. So they were very good about that. But yes, it's very good quality. I can guarantee that wouldn't have gone through that process. One drop and both screens are just done, or just pop right off. Another thing, tablets like this, like any kind of specs anywhere near this, are non-existent. Alright, so we have an Atom processor. Already, Atom processors are the lowest you can go. They are Intel's efficiency chips that they try to use. They're used in things like the Surface tablets. The Microsoft Surface tablets use those. And this is a higher grade than the Surface tablets. And if you know Surface tablets, they're not cheap. they're kind of expensive, and this one is boasting giving you the Z8750, which I've looked into, and it is better than the Surface Atom tablet. And they're saying Intel HD graphics are what it's going to use, which the Intel HD graphics are awful in Atoms. You might say, well, in the newer kind of Intel processors, like the i5s and i7s and i3s that they've come out, Skylake, they actually are pretty good. You know, you can play games like Team Fortress 2, Counter-Strike, a lot of these, you know, pretty well optimized games for older hardware run. Well, the Atoms actually, they aren't the same. They are very heavily cut down and don't give anywhere near that level of performance compared to their i3, i5, i7 counterparts because they need to hit a low wattage requirement. They have to have a low TDP and to run in these things. So already we're off to a bad start. I have, you know, just take your average phone for example. Your phone has to be very low wattage or else the battery life's going to be horrible. And that's something also about Windows. Windows is awful with battery life management, and it always has been. And that's because it's never really been optimized for it. You take a platform that was developed, you know, in part just for desktop computers, something to be plugged into the wall, never expected to lose that power, and if it did, you know, that's not Microsoft's problem, you need battery backup. But now we're getting into all these things and you're trying to get this bloated, heavy operating system onto a mobile device, and it just doesn't work out well. It just doesn't. I've seen every single benchmark almost always is going to give you the same result, that Windows is going to have 20 or 30% less battery life than an Android counterpart would with, you know, the same specs, because they're dual boot, so you're going to want to run this in Android. And something that small as well, if you take a tablet is going to be very long, and it's going to be able to have a large flat battery. Where's the battery in this going to go? Where are you going to put a battery in something like this? It'd have to be very thick. I actually have, if I can grab it in a second, I have a tablet right here, and something that not a lot of people have as well. Right over here, I have my trusty NVIDIA Shield. And not the tablet either, the portable one. I bought one of these when it came out. And it is very thick. It is extremely thick. It even needs a fan inside to cool it, because, you know, stuff back then wasn't too efficient. And I have a Google Pixel C right here as well. Pixel C, much thinner. But in the end, where do the batteries go? Well, on this one, battery is actually in these hand grips. Very large battery. It has great battery life, and you know, I love using this thing. It doesn't have a secondary screen down below, but do you really need one? Do you need a second screen? You don't. The DS that Nintendo manufactured is, you know, a sort of special kind of thing, and it was based around their Game & Watch little mini game that they had before with the 2 screens on there, and you don't need 2 screens. It's like a tablet now. Where does the battery go on the tablet? Well, it's long and flat. They can fit a long flat battery into a large compartment of unused space. Alright, so now that that's been kind of sorted out, where does the battery go on this? Well, we already know where battery goes. It's long and flat. Where is the battery going to go on that? We already have a lot of space being taken up by other parts. Obviously, in the flip part, like here, we can see by how thin it is, no battery is going to fit in there, right? So where are they going to put the battery? Well, if it's long and flat, that's a bit of a problem, right? Because you're going to need a lot of battery life for a gaming console. This one has large, fat, pretty much think of like a C-type batteries almost in this to power it, that are really good at it. It's such an oversight that people put. If we look up here, $300,000 people put into this device with no working. Yeah, we have a video going along with it. There's no videos of it actually working. None. This is a render. Yeah, It was not going to work from the beginning, and anyone who believed that it would work just didn't do enough research into this. Thinking that you could get something like this to work like that. The DS is very, very low power. So if we draw another comparison to the DS in this has a small battery, right? You have to, you know, either small battery, power efficient processor, large battery, not power efficient, right? Large battery, not power efficient. Large battery, not power efficient. Smaller battery, more power efficient. Smaller battery, more power efficient. So if they want to hit that design, they need a processor that's more power efficient. Atom processors are not power efficient as their Qualcomm, or even, I don't even think Nvidia's, you know, counterparts are a bit more power efficient than they are. And especially in the graphics department, their integrated graphics are typically not very good. Now, after all of that, they still 8 gigabytes of RAM. 8 gigabytes. For $300, you're getting 8 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage with all of this already. Cooling, they're saying passive cooling. They're saying if you get this special edition, you'll get a 1440p display. 1440p? This is 720p, and I'm perfectly fine with that. That's 5.7 inches. I'm not even sure what this is, but you don't need a 1440p display. And imagine trying to get your games to run in 1440p native resolution. It's going to be next to impossible. You want the 720p at maximum 1080p for 5.7 inches is all that you would need. Only something that is very large, like, you know, a Pixel C, would need a resolution upwards of that. It's just not worth it. You're only going to hinder yourself. And now they're saying you get an additional display that you can use. You know, it's a Nintendo DS-esque sort of thing with dual boot and yeah, yada yada yada. You can stream from your PS4, your Xbox. I'm not even sure if that's capable of doing that. Like, if that's even possible. I do know that Android devices can do Steam streaming, although you need a very good internet connection to be able to pull it off. They're talking about how they're going to use aluminum, Gorilla Glass, all of these high quality products, 5-channel audio. They're going to give you a removable 6120 mAh battery, which I'm quite sure actually isn't that large for what they're trying to sell you on here. 70 minutes to 100%. I wouldn't trust that either if this is using USB to charge it, because that is extremely fast for a battery that size. Let's see, so they're saying that AAA games are going to last 5 hours on an Atom processor. I can already tell you that with this Atom processor and this size of battery, it's not going to last. It wouldn't have lasted that long. It's not possible that it could last that long, because you just look it up. Just look up almost any tablet. This has to be worse made than a Chinese tablet, and they're saying it's going to be better all around. It's a scam. It's a scam. These are all just renders that someone made, and it would have been awful if it had actually come out. And here they have a list of the actual specs if anyone wants to take a look at it. Left side is the hardcore version. I'll even zoom in a bit. I guess this is just an awful picture. Whatever, never mind. Left side hardcore, right side the light editions. Yeah, 8 gigabytes of RAM. Saying that it's going to have AC wireless, which it would have to if you're going to stream. Additional features. Looks like you're getting the secondary display as well. This would be a nightmare to have to manufacture. Yeah, analog sticks, battery, giving you the size and the weight of 320 grams. This was a scam from the start. It would have been awful. And these people funded it, and it was canceled 7 hours ago. I wonder why. Well, sorry if my voice and I know that my quality isn't great, but I will see you guys another time and try to make some more videos, maybe more about Kickstarter. Have a good one.